Hello, my name's Gavin, and this is Genre Books, and it's tag time again. And this is the Stay Gold tag, created by The Mild Rumpus, and I was tagged by Pat at Book Chat with Pat. This tag is about BookTube and BookTubers. The prompts are based on a novel by S.E. Hinton, The Outsiders, which I have not read, which was made into a famous film by Francis Ford Coppola, which I have not seen. And each prompt is given the name of a character from that book and film. But what the hell, I've seen Rumblefish, so it can't be that much different. And this is a tag, not my TED Talk, so let's just busk it. Prompt number 1, Ponyboy Curtis. Share some BookTubers who have been especially supportive of your channel. It doesn't have to be more than a comment. I recently saw that the channel 1950s British Science Fiction was posting again. This is Philip Harbottle, who is a guy who has been there and done that. He is a complete voice of authority on 1950s British science fiction and late 1940s. But he has been involved in the industry. He's met a lot of the authors that I like to talk about. And he has an incredible collection and memories to go with them, which he shares on his channel. And like I say, he was posting again. I just left him a comment to say it was good to see him posting again. And he came back to me saying thanks, and also that he'd been enjoying my Planet Stories videos, which was just unexpected and nice. Interactions like that are what makes BookTube such a nice place to be. But I'm going to single out some people who really have been supportive. Now, without wanting to pump her ego up too much, because I know she's been mentioned by just about everyone, but we have to give thanks for the public service to the BookTube community that MJ provides in her Support Small BookTube series, which is something close to appointment viewing, I think, for BookTube. I was singled out as one of the channels that she picked when I was barely a dozen subscribers, and there was a little uptick after that, and that gives you a nice little fillip. One of the other BookTubers singled out in that week by MJ, I think, was Pat from Book Chat with Pat, who would be my second choice. Not only is Pat a BookTube machine involved in multiple events and a judge on the BookTube awards panels, but she has an insight and an empathy in the books that she's talking about, which is no doubt not only the product of her many years of public service teaching English in schools, but also a lifetime of dedicated and empathetic reading. She's very generous with her time, she's very generous with her comments, and she engenders and I think embodies that BookTube ethos of communicating with other BookTubers through her tags and shout-outs. And lastly, I would say Roy from Roy Reads Anything, who was good enough, I think, after only my second video to share my video on a post on his channel, and was very nice about a video that I had done on Vril and some very weird behaviour in the Victorian era. And before I was even making videos on BookTube, was someone who I enjoyed his comments and interactions on various Discord servers, including his own. And it was nice to get a welcome from an established BookTuber, and one that I had very much enjoyed watching previously. Which brings me to prompt number 2, Darry Curtis. Share a channel that has inspired or influenced your channel. So I am going to start again with Roy, because he has that mix of erudition and irreverence, which I just really appreciate on BookTube. I can't remember exactly when I started watching his videos, but I found it absolutely hilarious that he seemed to be the only booktuber with his own built-in heckler, and his wife Jenny, although she's yet to make an appearance on camera, has slowly but surely exerted an increasing influence on the channel, which is great fun with the interaction between the two of them. A characteristic which, when I look at the names that I've written down here, all share, is something that I do take inspiration from, and I think is probably epitomised by Michael K. Vaughan, in that it showed me that if I'm doing BookTube, I don't have to do videos about the latest shiny thing. He has, I'm not going to say a specialism, because there is still a wide range in what he talks about. But not only does he show that talking about 80, 90-year-old books can be as entertaining as talking about the latest new release, but that you can do it with nothing more than a phone, a book, and some enthusiasm. And into that same mix I will put Sean D. Standfast, who, whilst he's not always as ebullient and effusive as Michael, he can be downright critical of something when he wants to be, which, you know, is fun in and of itself. He is someone who is always displaying the passion for the subject at hand, and whilst I started watching his videos purely for the science fiction content, you learn over time that, you know, there are interests more wide-ranging than just the one genre. He's also someone who I do enjoy for the erudition and the research that is on display, and he's someone that inspires me to look a little bit deeper into some of the stories and some of the material which may seem sometimes to be very much all surface, especially when it comes to pulp fiction. Prompt number 3, Sodapop Curtis. I don't know who that is, but the prompt is a BookTube channel that makes you laugh and brings you joy. I'm going to talk about many of the same BookTubers again, I'm afraid. Michael K. Vaughan and Roger are a great double act. Roger's... Actually, are they both the straight man? I'm not sure. Roger doesn't say much, but I think it's all implied in the look. Roy, again, for the interactions that he has with other YouTubers and with Jenny, and for the connections that he sometimes draws between various subjects that he's looking at. And I think it's just a sense of humour that, you know, I appreciate. Randy Ray, the literate Texan. Not only is he someone who just looks like, it's the old British political adage of, you know, you can see yourself going for a pint with him. I can see myself going for a pint with Randy, even though I don't think he drinks anymore. That's fine. Ray can have the soda pop from the Sodapop Curtis, but he's someone who, another booktuber who has lived a life, owned a bookshop, has a tale or two to tell, and is entertaining whilst he does it. I knew I was going to forget somebody, but how could I have forgotten Steve Donahue? Not only will I count him in the inspiration part, because I can only aspire to finding 36 hours in a day like he's able to, but he's also someone who I do find incredibly funny. Someone absolutely sharp as a tack and a bit of a walking encyclopedia. Not only that, but if you watch his videos every day, you will have a working knowledge of the barometric pressure in the Boston area. Prompt number 4, Keith Two-Bit Mathews. Some new BookTube channels that you enjoy watching. Definitely Pat from Book Chat with Pat to begin with. Monty Adkins, who is making some very bold choices with some of the books he's reading, including a great video on choose your own adventure books, which brought back some memories. Reading Ideas, I enjoy his videos, including a video all about the different Robin Hood books that he inherited. And there are other channels, Bartel's Bookshelf for example, who are not new, especially comparatively to me, but they are new to me since I have been making BookTube videos, so I'm going to count him in this as well. Prompt number 5, Dally Winston. Name something that you found initially tough in BookTube and share how you overcame it. There's a few things that I find tough, and I think possibly, definitely, the toughest is watching yourself back when coming to edit. You find every particular tick, every annoying habit, intake of breath, the staring either at yourself or away from camera, needing to do much editing at all because I speak so haltingly. All these are things I am in the process of trying to overcome. Certainly one of the reasons I chose to go from being a passive consumer of BookTube videos to making a few of my own was in order to have that, or try to retrieve that confidence in talking about a subject. I think once I feel I've overcome it, then I might come back and say something else about that, but I'm not sure. Steve Randall, what is your favourite video on your channel? I'm going to say it is my video on Vril and The Coming Race by Edward Bulwer-Lytton, which certainly the one that I most enjoyed researching, especially from what seemed to be fairly inauspicious beginnings. I thought the book was okay, but not spectacular. And then I started reading about the author and about the book and the impact the book had over the next couple of decades. The crazy impact of the book. And although the author is largely forgotten these days, his idea of Vril, this special power, seems to have been retained by a certain section of YouTube who talk about it like it is a real thing. And it's just a video where the more I looked into it, the more I found myself scratching my head. But yeah, that's fun, and I think that's the kind of thing I'd really, I like doing when it comes to this. I get to find out some stuff, and I get to find out some crazy stuff. Prompt number 7, Sherri Cherry Valance. Sherri Cherry Valance. Share a channel you enjoy watching outside of BookTube. There's not that many channels I do enjoy watching outside of BookTube. There are some political channels, which I won't bore you with. There are some comedy channels, but mostly this is just searching for clips from shows I remember enjoying. But occasionally someone like Adam Buxton, for example, is just an absolute wonder and was designed for the internet age. I also enjoy watching sort of some very sort of old movies, sci-fi B movies on various channels. But if I'm going to pick maybe one video, and if you take away nothing from this, the one thing I would implore you to do, I will link it below, is definitely to do with enjoying music on YouTube and I'm going to pick a live performance by the Unthanks performing a song called Mount the Air at BBC Prom, which is just absolutely beautiful, fantastic performance, and if you've never seen it before, I defy you not to be welling up by the end of it. Now whether that's enjoyment, I don't know, but I count it. Prompt number 8, Johnny Cade. Again, who? Discuss the effect that BookTube has had on you as a reader. Well, there's lots of ways it's affected me as a reader, but I would have to split it into how it affected me as a reader when I was just watching it, and how it affects me as a reader now, where not only am I watching it, but I'm creating videos as well. When I was just watching BookTube, the effect was it would open up vistas and avenues of reading which I didn't know existed, and it would reignite and expand interest on ones that I knew about. The Library Ladder, for example, who makes very polished videos, few and far between, but exceptionally well researched, reasoned and put together. He started a few videos about some old American publishing houses, which I sort of heard of but didn't know a lot about, and it's pretty comprehensive in how he talks about Gnome Press, Arkham House, and the only one that I can afford to start collecting, and I blame him entirely, has got me into collecting these Ballantine adult fantasy books. Even the ones I'd heard of, I wouldn't have known to put together this little unicorn logo as being part of a series. They're not ones that you see about, I think, hardly ever in the UK in second-hand bookshops, so I have him to thank for that. Again, Sean D. Standfast is such a source of knowledge for science fiction that I take a lot from it, I learn a lot from it, I go out and I do a lot of book purchasing and reading on the back of it. Criminally has got me reading Ed McBain, awesome horror. Michael K. Vaughan has me going through the Edgar Rice Burroughs catalogue. Roy has me looking at Victorian literature that is not the established classics. This is the kind of thing that I absolutely love, the bits that exist on the periphery, and it's definitely what I've taken inspiration from in my reading. And now I'm making videos myself. That's the kind of bar I'm looking at some point to aim for. Making the videos has definitely slowed down the amount I'm reading a little bit, but it's increased the amount that I want to read even more. Whereas I could just passively consume books previously, I've now got a little bit of responsibility, if nothing more than the responsibility of not making myself look a fool, to actually know a little bit more about what I'm talking about. So I hope that it is instilling in me a little more discipline and reasoning attitude than I might otherwise have had with a scattergun, scatterbrain approach to what I'm reading. Prompt number 9, Sunsets. Give a piece of advice or a piece of wisdom. I would say, don't take any advice from me. Prompt number 10, stay gold. Tag others. Well, I'm going to have a look because I see that this tag has been going around a lot. But all of those who I see have not yet been tagged that I would have tagged, I have tagged you below. And thanks, Mard Rumpus. I now have to add The Outsiders to my TBR. Until next time.